So good afternoon. So we'll start from where we stopped yesterday. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Fine. So what we discussed yesterday is we discussed the types of issues, the ways in which shares can be issued. I'll just summarize. One was the regular IPO. Okay, and immediately after IPO, we discussed something called as the FPO, that is follow-up public offer. We also discussed what do you mean by fast track issue, and then we moved on to what do you mean by private placement. Uh, Next was brought out deal, or it's also called as offer for sale. Next one was the rights issues, and the last one that we discussed yesterday was the book building process, wherein I gave you the example of Nirma, right? So this is what we discussed yesterday. Now, when we saw the eligibility criteria, there was one word that was constantly coming called as QIB, right? So today we are going to study what do you mean by QIB and who is this QIB, what does it do basically. We are going to understand this in terms of the types of investors who are available, right? So today we are going to see types of investors, okay, what are the conditions that they have to undergo, and we are also going to see some other aspects related to primary markets. So let us start our discussion as of today. Now, all of you have, I have been telling you that any company who wants to issue shares should issue shares for the first time only through the primary market, right? And I told you that the shares are offered to the general public, but please understand, all shares are definitely not offered to general public, right? There is a condition, there is a criteria in which shares are offered. So if assume that if I am a company and if I want to issue fresh shares, or if I want to issue shares in the primary market, I cannot allocate all my shares to the retail people. There is a criteria for that. So if I am issuing 100 shares, 50% of my shares has to go for QIBs, that is qualified institutional buyers. Okay. Next, 15% should go to non-institutional investors. Okay. And the remaining 35% is for people like you and me. We call these people as retail investors. So only 35 shares are available for us out of 100, because out of 100, 50 shares go to QIBs, 15% are reserved for non-institutional investors, and only 35% of shares are available for retail investors. So this is how the calculation is actually going to work out. So when we say any company wants to issue 3 million shares, or 30 crore shares or something like that, you know these 30 crores are applicable only for retail investors. For others, the offer is something else. So we need to understand the basic logic of how shares have been issued, or more so we have to understand who are the different types of investors who invest their money as far as primary market is concerned. Next, we understand who are these QIBs. Okay, so QIBs are basically, as the word suggests, it says qualified institutional buyers. And who are these people? Okay, so that is what we have to understand. So any financial institution, okay, who is defined under section 4A of the Companies Act 1956 gets automatically qualified as QIB. Just wait, let the train pass by. So these are the following people who are qualified or who are specified by SEBI to become qualified institutional buyers. Now, if you observe all these people who I mentioned here, I'm talking about financial institutions, I'm talking about commercial banks, I'm talking about AMCs, that is asset management companies. Okay. Next, I'm talking about FIIs, foreign institutional investors who are registered with SEBI, domestic venture capital fund, foreign venture capital funds which are registered with SEBI, insurance companies who are registered with IRDA, and pension funds and provident funds with a minimum corpus of 25 crores. If you observe all this, can you understand one thing, that these companies are rich in cash? They have huge amount of idle cash been lying in their accounts. They don't know what to do with this particular cash. So what the SEBI has told, instead of keeping this ideal cash in your accounts and not earning anything or not rotating the cash in the market, you invest this particular cash in all the new issues that are coming up, so that your stake will be 50%. So what SEBI has said is, instead of you accumulating so much amount of funds and keeping these funds in the market and not getting liquidity in the market, instead of that, you push these funds back into the market by buying shares of these companies who are issuing shares for the first time, so that these fresh companies get automatic, they get their cash, and so that the cash rotation takes place. So these are financial institutions, or in other words, if I can say, these are cash rich companies. They have ample amount of cash which is lying idle with them. They don't know what to do with that particular cash. So SEBI has said that any company who comes out with a public issue, you should qualify for 50% of their shares, so that you give the money to these companies and you take 50% of the shares of these companies, so that these fresh companies get adequate liquidity, and so that they can start their operations. So that is the whole motive of why this particular criteria is been kept. Any doubts in this, please?
No, sir.
Next, we have non-institutional investors. Now, non-institutional investors, these are residents of India, or they are investors. They could be HUF, they could be HNIs, and they could also be NRIs. Okay, so HNI stands for high net worth individuals, NRI stands for non-residential Indians, and HUF stands for Hindu undivided families. So they qualify as non-institutional investors. Okay, they could be also corporate bodies, societies, or trust who qualify as non-institutional investors. The only condition is, whenever they make an application for such shares, the minimum amount that they have to give is 2 lakh rupees, right? So point number C says, application of issue in terms of value should not be minimum less than 2 lakh rupees. That means whenever any company is coming out with a public issue, okay, and if you are a non-institutional investor, then the minimum amount of money that you have to give to these companies is minimum 2 lakh rupees, not less than that. You can give above that, but minimum is what you have to give is 2 lakh rupees. So that is what we call as non-institutional investors. And last one, of course, is the retail investors. It is like people like you and me, okay, who can invest only probably 10,000, 15,000, 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh, 2 lakhs, right? So we are in this particular range. So because we are in this particular range, we are called as retail investors. So applicable for Indian investors, NRIs who want to invest less than 2 lakhs, and HUF who want to invest less than 2 lakhs. Okay, application has to be, as I said, has to be less than 2 lakh rupees, and 35% of the issue is reserved for retail investors, 15% is reserved for non-institutional investors, and 50% is reserved for qualified institutional buyers. I'll just take you back to the previous slide. Just see if the total is coming to 100. 50 plus 15 plus 35. See if the total is coming to 100. That means your issue is completely subscribed. Just do the maths for this. So 50% plus 15% comes to 65%. 65% plus 35% comes to 100%. So if I am a company who wants to issue shares for the first time, I should keep 50 shares for QIBs. I should keep 15 shares only for non-institutional investors, and I should keep only 35 shares only for retail investors. So this is how the categorization of investors happens as far as primary market is concerned. Clear? Any doubts in this? If there are any doubts, we'll clarify it. Otherwise, we'll move forward. Okay. Next important concept that you have to understand is called the concept of green shoe option. Okay. Now, before I explain to you what is a green shoe option, please go through these 3 points. These are very important for you to understand the concept of what do you mean by green shoe option. So let me explain this. What is green shoe and green shoe option? Suppose I am a company and I want to issue shares, right? The offer that I make is I want to issue 10,000 shares. Clear? Please understand these things very, very carefully. I am a company. I want to make a public issue. I am using the route as IPO, okay? And I want to issue 10,000 shares in the to the people so that I can earn a certain amount of money. By the way, the price of one share, okay, the price of one share is, let us say, 100 rupees. The price of one share is 100 rupees. Like this, I want to issue 10,000 shares, right? So what is the value of shares? What is the value that I'm expecting from the market? Narayan, can you tell me what is the value that I'm expecting?
Hello.
Yeah, Narayan.
Hello, sir. Can you repeat?
I'm saying I'm a new company. I want to issue shares. I've got the permission from SEBI. I want to issue 10,000 shares and the price of one share is 100 rupees. What is the value of money that I'm expecting from the market?
Sir, 10 lakh.
Yeah. So I'm expecting around 10 lakh rupees from the market for my business. Agreed. Right? Now, out of these 10 lakhs, Rohin, can you tell me how much will be reserved for QIBs?
So out of 10 lakh QIBs, we can say about 15%, sir.
Not 15, 50, 50.
50, yes, sir. 50% QIBs, sir.
So out of 10 lakhs, 5 lakh rupees I'm expecting from QIBs. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next, about 15%, that means around 1.5 lakhs, I am expecting from non-institutional investors, and 3.5 lakhs I am expecting from retail investors like you and me. Right? So if you take the total, I am expecting around 10 lakh rupees from the market.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So this is the story. My company is so well known that many people are aspiring to buy the shares of my company. I'm giving you a situation. The demand for my shares is so much that I cannot give all the shares to all the people who have asked for that shares. In other words, my issue is oversubscribed. That means there is more demand for my shares and I don't have that many number of shares that I can offer, which means that the issue is oversubscribed. So when the issue is oversubscribed, what happens is the price of the share increases very fast. Are you with me? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm saying that my company is well known, well reputed, has a high potential of profit in days to come. So there is a demand for my shares, but I cannot satisfy all the retail investors because I don't have those many number of shares. I have only a certain number of shares that I can give. But the demand for that shares is so much that my issue will now become oversubscribed. That means the demand is more than the supply of shares. In such case, what happens is the price of the share starts increasing drastically. That means, suppose Narayan wants the share of my company and he is not able to get at 100 rupees, he will automatically quote a rate of 110 rupees. Somebody else will quote at 115 rupees, somebody else will quote at 120 rupees. So unnecessary, the price of my share starts increasing. And people who really cannot afford to pay 120, 130 rupees will be denied the right to get this particular shares. In such case, companies always have a way out, and that is what we call as the green shoe option. What does it mean? It means that if the issue is oversubscribed, and because of the oversubscription, the price of your shares starts escalating, price of your shares starts getting higher and higher, there is a need to stabilize this particular price. And when there is a need to stabilize this particular price, SEBI permits you to issue extra 15% shares over and above whatever you have issued. Are you able to understand? If the price starts escalating, okay, to just stabilize the price, what does SEBI do? SEBI permits you to issue 15% more shares than what you have already issued. Okay, why this is done? This is done to stabilize the price, and you cannot do it. You have to appoint an agent. That agent will be called as a stabilizer. So he will try to administer the shares in the market so that the price of the share starts reducing and comes to a certain level. So this is what we call as the green shoe option. It is not mandatory for the company to do it. If the company feels that they should exercise the green shoe option, they can exercise the green shoe option. It is not a mandatory requirement. Clear with this concept? If anyone is not able to get it, please let me know. Done?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Hello.
Swapnil.
Sir, when the share price increases, it's good for the company. So why will they put it down?
See, there are two things. Unnecessary, if the price starts going up. See, why will the price go up? Because there should be some value in the company. Only the price, then the price should go up, right? If there is no adequate value in that particular company and unnecessary the share starts going up, that means something is wrong. So if that something is wrong, and if you cannot identify what is wrong with the company, you want to stabilize the price. You want to reduce the price so that things become calm, things become a bit cool. That is the reason the SEBI permits any company to issue 15% more shares over and above what has been oversubscribed. That is what it says.
Okay, sir.
See, it's very simple. Swapnil, do you have a car? Hello, Swapnil, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a car?
Yes.
Okay. How many people can fit in that car?
5.
5? Okay. If there are 10 people, can you fit them?
No.
What happens? Does it mean that the
No.
value of your car has gone up?
No.
You are understanding what I am trying to tell you?
No,
It
sir.
doesn't mean
Hello.
the value of the car has gone up. Only thing is there is
Hello.
a demand for that. There is a demand for seats in your car. So what you have to do? You have to make 2 trips. Or if you can't make 2 trips, you have to hire one more car so that all those 10 people can be accommodated and you go all together. That is what it says. So
Okay.
here there is no increase in the value of the company. Only thing is because an unnecessary demand is created, to stabilize that particular demand, people or companies can exercise the green shoe option.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Thank you.
Fine. Now we move on to the next part. What are the factors that should be considered by investors before they put their money into any new issue, or before they invest their money into primary market? What are the factors that they should that investors should consider? Okay, we generally call it as the camel approach, CAMEL. Okay, now what is camel approach? We'll see it later, but there are some points that you have to consider. First is you need to look for who are the promoters of the company. Okay, you need to check their credibility. Clear? So you need to really check who are the promoters, who are the people who are there. It so happens that if the promoters are from the same company, you know, if promoters are from the same company, then there is a skeptical doubt that raises that will my money be safe, because the money is going only to one family and all the promoters are from the same family itself. So I will hesitate a bit to invest my money in such companies because all the promoters are from the same company, are from the same family. But on the other hand, if one promoter is from probably Chennai, second promoter is somebody from Mumbai, third is from Jaipur, fourth is somebody from Lucknow. So there is, these people are not related to each other, but they have a common idea. So they will make sure that their idea works and they will not run behind only money, or they will not, their motive will not be to deceive the investors. So always check for the promoter's credibility before investing your money. Next, always look for how efficient is the board of management or board of directors. Generally, in a very well managed company, we see a variety of people from different backgrounds. Okay. Generally, it is seen that or any good company, you can take the example of Asian Paints, you can take the example of L&T. Okay, all these companies, if you look at their board of management, they are not from one family, but they are people from different walks of life who have served different organizations in different capacities. Now they have become directors in that particular company. What information it gives you? It gives you that this particular company nurtures talent a lot, nurtures a lot of talent. One. Second, they always try to get the best of the best lots among the in the country to see that they are on the board of management, which means the decision taken by these people will always be right. So that is what we have to check as far as the management of the people is concerned. Next, also go for what details or the project details and the product details as to where the company is using this particular money, or what are the current products that are manufactured by that particular company. Only then you have to invest that particular money. Today, if ITC says that we want to raise money in the form of share capital and we want to use this particular money in developing another brand of cigarettes, right? Nothing wrong with it. ITC is known for, ITC stands for Indian Tobacco Company. Their basic objective was to manufacture cigarettes once upon a time. But now, if they say that they want to manufacture cigarettes, I will hesitate a lot, because government is putting a lot of taxes on cigarettes, right? So if a lot of taxes are being put on cigarettes, the sale of cigarettes will come down. So company will not make profit. So always see that whenever you invest your money into a new issue market or a primary market, you always need to check what are the products of, what are the existing products of that particular company, and where your money is going to be utilized. So that is what you have to look for. Next, always look for financial data for last 5 years, because a lot of details will be revealed in the last 5 years as to how the company has performed, what happened with the company, what is about their profitability, what about their liabilities. Okay, are they able to service their loans if they have taken? All these things you will come to know only when you study the financial records of the company for the last 5 years. Next, also, please try to understand, is there any risk associated with that particular company? When I say risk, of course, all companies do have certain one or the other risk, but look at the major risk factors. If any company is investing its money into an area which has seen the growth, which has seen a declining, okay, in the product life cycle, if that particular product or if that company is seeing a decline in that particular stage, always check for what are the various risk factors that are associated in such companies, right? Next is always look for the auditor's report, because auditor's report tells you, the auditor will tell you free and frank opinion about himself, okay, and the company. If he feels that certain things are good in the company, he will write good about it. If he feels that something is wrong with the company, he will write those comments. So always check for the auditor's report. Next, check for any legal compliance. Check if there are any court cases, any pending cases, any litigation cases against that particular company. Only if there is a clearance, then only invest your money. And most important thing is, see if the company is able to offer investor services. It's very simple, because once you give your money, there should be some person available in the company who is going to respond to you for your queries related to your money. So all these aspects is what you have to look for whenever you invest your money into the new issue market or the primary market, right? Now, I will not go into the details of this. This is called post-issue obligation. Now, post-issue obligation, okay, this is a theory that that is there, but I have already explained to you this post-issue activities here. I'll just show you. This is the post-issue activities. Okay, so this part, what I have explained to you, is the post-issue activities. So the issue opens, the issue closes, how the allotment happens, how the listing happens, how the funds have been transferred. All these things I have explained to you. Still, if you want to go through it, I will give you the slides. You can definitely go through it, but it will be a repetition if I start going through this. Okay. So what do you mean by again? How many days are there? What is a due diligence certificate? All these things we have already discussed. So I don't want to go into the details of it. Anyways, it is there on the slide. You can definitely have a look as far as post-issue obligations are concerned. Now, we come to another problem that we as Indian primary markets always face is there are some problems as far as Indian primary market is concerned. And what are those problems? First is we have a very aggressive pricing. In the sense we unnecessarily we price the primary issue at a very high level. See what happens is if you put a very high price on your share, you will attract less number of people who can come forward and give money and purchase your shares. On the other hand, if you put a very low price, people feel that there is no value in this particular company. So you need to have an appropriate pricing, and so there are some different valuation methods. So using various valuation methods, you have to arrive at a right price so that you get the adequate amount or the optimal level of money from the market. Just because you feel that your company is good, if you put a very high price on your share, people are not going to come and buy your shares, right? So that is one aspect as far as aggressive pricing strategy of Indian primary market is concerned. Next is we have poor liquidity. Okay, in terms of liquidation of funds. Say for example, when I talk about poor liquidity, suppose today I am issuing shares. I am a new company. I am issuing shares for the first time, and let us say Narayan comes and he says that I want to purchase 10,000 worth of shares. So he gives the money, okay, to the banker, and he fills the form and gives the money, and he is waiting for the share allotment to happen. Now share allotment will not happen immediately. It will take some time. It will take around 20-21 days, right? So in these 20-21 days, if Narayan requires money urgently for some medical emergency, there is no way by which he can get this particular money, right? There is no way by which he can get this money because his money is going to be locked for next 21 days or till the allotment happens. Only when the allotment is done, then only his money will be released. So this accounts for poor liquidity. That means Narayan cannot encash his money quickly if he does not want to get the shares. So that is one of the problems that we are facing as far as primary market is concerned. Next we have compared to other countries, returns are initially low, but now, okay, because of various government initiatives, various government policies, India is able to give a very good return as far as investment in stock market is concerned. Of course, there was a time when returns were very low. We had a lot of frauds. And why frauds were taking place? Because we did not have adequate people to invest in the market. And why we did not have adequate people to invest in the market? Because there was no transparency. Now we have transparency. Now we have an administrative look for, so returns are comparatively higher and volumes are also steadily increasing. Okay, and of course we have our own economic problems. There is political instability. Some or the other things go wrong here and there, and then the entire market comes to a standstill. Okay, so these are some of the problems that are faced by India. Not only India, generally all countries face these problems, but specifically we are we are not been able to address the first point, that is aggressive pricing. That is one of the issues as far as the Indian primary market is concerned. Okay, I think with this we are done with the primary markets. I'm going to stop the class here. Okay, please tell me if you have any doubts, anything related to primary markets. I'm not talking about secondary markets. Secondary markets, we'll see it later, but I'm just talking about the primary markets. If you have any doubts with primary markets, please let me know. We still have around 7 minutes. Please don't leave because I have to take the attendance.
Sir, do we have primary market instruments in the syllabus?
Primary market instruments.
Yes, sir.
Primary market instruments, the same one, shares only.
Shares only, sir. Okay.
Primary issue means issue of new shares. Or
yes, sir.
It can also go in this way, issue of debentures also.
Yes, sir.
Okay, issue of debentures, issue of bonds, issue of shares, all types of shares, preference shares, common equity, non-voting shares, all type of equity.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No, sir, nothing.
No doubt from Rashmi. Anyone else has any doubts? Okay, on 25th of September, okay, uh, one person is going to address you on investor awareness program, which has been organized by Bombay Stock Exchange. It will be on 25th of September. Okay, timing I'll just confirm. I think it should be from 11 to 12:30, 1.5 hour. Okay. Uh, all people who have taken finance and marketing and finance and HR are expected to attend this. It will be relayed directly from Mumbai, BSE. Okay, and I will be the host and administrator here. So I will come to know who is attending, who is not attending. So please attend. It is for your own benefit because you will get the real life data. Of course, even I can give you the real life data, but it is better that the concerned person from the exchange tells you about how the primary markets or how the capital markets basically work out. So it is on 25th, 11 to 12:30. Yeah. If there is nothing, we'll stop the class here. Okay, and in the next class, we will start with the next aspect, that is the secondary market. Okay. So what do you mean by secondary market? Everything. So we'll study how BSE works. By the way, this is the BSE building. It is in Mumbai. Okay. I don't know, but in your lifetime, at least please go and visit these sites. You'll learn a lot of things. So this is BSE. Okay. This is just some history of BSE, how it came. This is NSE, National Stock Exchange. Okay. And of course, we'll see some other things as far as both the exchanges are concerned. Okay. So let us meet next time with the secondary markets.